Hello viewers and welcome to Diverse Learning Channel. My name is Mametus Iledi and today I'll be discussing a concept with you referred to as hazardous energy control. Also referred to as Lockout Tagout, LOTO as an acronym. Now, this concept is very important in industry because workers get exposed to various forms of energy such as mechanical energy, thermal energy, hydraulic energy, pneumatic energy by way of when they perform service or maintenance on these equipment. And if there is no protection system such that this system protects them when they work on these machines, there could be a sudden startup of the machinery or sudden activation of the machinery when they least expect it, and this could lead to significant injuries. Therefore, the safety procedure, which is referred to as Lockout Tagout, is used to protect workers against hazardous energies. Now, what does it mean, Lockout Tagout? As the name suggests, let's say, for example, you're going to work on a mechanical system where you have, let's say, gear systems. You don't want these parts to move whilst you are performing that maintenance activity, because if the parts move, they could either crush your fingers or even amputate you, right? So what you do is you have to make sure that you stop the machine, put off the power source, which is electrical, of course. So you isolate the electrical power source, and then you put a lock and lock it so that nobody can energize that equipment. And where do you put the lock? You put the lock, where do you put the key? You put the key in your pocket, whilst you work on that equipment. So you're 100% sure that you are protected because the key that is locking the power source is with you, right? Now, it's not only electrical. It can be a hydraulic system where you need to close the hydraulic power, which is the oil, okay, to make sure that there is no energy into the hydraulic system to energize it. Or it can be a pneumatic system, actuator, for example, where you need to close the air and lock it so that no one can energize the air, and it can even be a water line where, let's say, for example, you are working in a confined space and then you don't want the water to come into the confined space whilst you are working there, because if that happens, you could drown in the confined space, right? So what you do is you isolate the water inlet, lock it, and then to ensure that water never comes in. Now, that is the LO, which is the logout, has to do with the padlock. But we also have the tagout, which has to do with putting a tag, and writing on the tag that do not operate. So that is an additional measure to make sure that nobody or anybody that goes around there sees that this equipment is being worked on and no one is allowed to operate anything here, okay? So that could also contain the name of the person who isolated the equipment, the date, and so on and so forth. Another important thing that has to be checked when you do LOTO is to ensure zero energy. For example, if I'm going to work on an electrical system and I have broken the circuit, okay, or opened the circuit, and then I put a lock and I lock the breaker. Now, you need to check with a voltmeter, okay, or ammeter to be sure that there's no voltage across the circuit, or try to run the machine in the manual mode. Why is this important? This is important because the breaker may be faulty, and when you open the breaker, maybe it's actually not opened because of the fault. So there's still power, and you could be electrocuted as a result. So when you isolate, don't just isolate, put the lock and put the tag, but also check to ensure that there is no energy, and that is referred to as zero energy. If you're using a pneumatic system, you need to release all the excess air in the system. If it's a hydraulic system, you need to release all the hydraulic oil to make sure, because that energy remaining in the system can cause one stroke of movement, which can still cause severe injuries. All right. So that is it for today. Now, just to add a little more regarding the lockout, it's important to ensure that the padlock that you use has only one key. You know, usually padlock will come with duplicate key, right? A spare key. So you have to destroy that and keep only one. Because if you keep the other keys, someone may have access to it and then use it whilst you are working on the equipment. Different companies have different policies with respect to LOTO. So it depends on what the policy is. But overall, we're looking for a system that completely isolates the machine so that workers can work safely. Ladies and gentlemen, if you find this video useful, please share, like, and then also subscribe. More videos to come in the future. Thank you very much. Have a great day.